started laughing when the sky started to rain. Get along down the road, we got a long way to go. Scared to live, scared to die. We ain't perfect, but we try. Get along while we can. We can love the upper hand. Make a walk, learn to dance. Call them up, buy a boat, drink a beer, sing a song, make a friend. Can't we all get along? Strong model on a billboard, 1-800, get to know me. Wonder what she photoshopped, or were her eyes really that lonely? Did she leave her hometown thinking she'd end up in LA? Break down in the desert and get stuck beside the highway. Get along on down the road, we got a long way to go. Scared to live, scared to die. We ain't perfect, but we try. Get along while we can. Always give love the upper hand. Hang a walk, learn to dance. Call your mom, buy a boat, drink a beer, sing a song, make a friend. Can't we all get along?
I got 8:30 on the clock, Tom.
I got 8:30 as well, Craig.
Very good. Give the audience a little bit of time to build here. So Tom, you're with Encompass Mortgage,
I am.
and you've now taken rental occupancy of part of our office in Sun City Center, right?
I sure have, along with two of my partners. One of them is on the call with me today. The other one was unavailable. So yes.
Do we need to add your partner on this call?
Dell is on the call. He'll be listening in. It's up to you if you want to make him an admin or not, but for the most part, I'll be doing this presentation.
Okay, good. All right, the crowd is building. All right, so before we get started, there's something I want to talk to my team about real quick. I had the opportunity to sit at, usually on Fridays we do contract training. And there's something prevalent in the industry that's going on, which is as-is contracts, which I personally hate. And as a loan officer, you probably hate them too, because you really don't want to start working on the loan until the contract is ratified. And so many times, almost 30% of the contracts are canceling during their inspection period, rather than going through. So who wants to start ordering appraisals and doing the heavy underwriting until we know the contract is real? And a lot of people don't understand, the roles that everybody has to play in the deal. So just like a busy real estate agent, we've got timelines we've got to meet. As a busy loan officer, you do too, but you don't want to start working on a file until it's confirmed. So one of the things that I stress, and I can't believe the pushback I get, it's like people are afraid. Earnest money deposit on an as-is contract is basically useless because there's no strength attached to it. When the inspection period's over, I want to see a sizable additional deposit on the contract. I don't care if it's FHA 3.5% down on a $300,000 house, that's still $10,000. So put your $1,000 deposit on the initial as-is inspection period contract. Give me 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,000 additional at the end of the inspection period. So it's an 8-day inspection period. On day 9, give me additional $5,000. Now we got some skin in the game. Now Tom, the loan officer, knows the buyers are committed. We know they've got to have 3.5% down for the $300,000 purchase anyway. So they should have the cash, and if they don't, it's a red flag. And I talked to some very experienced, good agents who give me pushback on this, and I just don't understand it. So anyway, I was talking with an attorney, and I was debating some of the beliefs that we've been talking about, and she agreed with me on the weakness of an as-is contract. But what she didn't agree with me on was what Jim Holloway said, that if the buyer goes under contract as is and then comes back and asks for repairs, Jim Holloway's position is that reopens negotiations and gives the seller the right to cancel the contract. And this woman said, no, it does not. It's a negotiation. You don't have to accept their terms, but it does not give you the right to terminate the contract. So if I go to our clauses sections in .loop, there's a clause that would give the seller the right. So you can do anything you want to do in a contract as long as you disclose it. Right? Take those words to heart. You can do anything you want to do in a contract as long as you disclose it. So that being said, if you tell the buyer, hey, slap, you have entered into an as-is contract. I've negotiated in good faith based on an as-is contract. If you come back and ask for changes, I'm going to cancel you. And if the buyer signs that contract with that language, then it gives you the right to cancel. But in the absence of having that language, it doesn't. So I just wanted to let you know that an attorney has nothing more than an opinion, right? Everybody's got opinions. So this attorney's opinion was that does not cancel the contract. This attorney's opinion was it does cancel give the right to cancel the contract. Who makes that decision? The guy in the girl in the black robe. Take a judge. What does it cost to get in front of a judge? More than any of us want to have anything to do with. So that being said, I wanted to get that. Screen frozen. What didn't she agree with you on? She didn't agree with Jim Holloway that it automatically gives the seller the right to cancel a contract if they counter with changes to an as-is. I answered that live. It is now done. Okay, Tom, I've tap danced here for nothing. Got 50 people online now. So let's get a little introduction. Tell us about yourself a little bit so we know who we're talking to, and then I'll let you share the screen and we'll put your show up.
Well, first of all, I really appreciate the invitation to present to your team, Craig, and Deborah's given us a great opportunity with Encompass Mortgage to be in your office and to service your agents. So Dale and I are here on the call, and we just want to thank you guys for the opportunity. I've been in the mortgage industry personally for 17 years. It's going to be my first slide, so I won't bore you with all that. So whenever you're ready to turn it over, Craig, my first slide will give you a little bit of background about me.
Okay, well, let me just get a little brief update from you, because I got to tell you, I'm a fairly smart guy, and reverse mortgages make no sense to me. My aunt, I think you did my aunt's reverse mortgage, as a matter of fact. Didn't you do so?
I think I did. Yes, I did. And they're a very misunderstood product. I've been doing them and teaching them going on 6-7 years right now. And the agents that are open-minded and are willing to discuss it with their clients, their buyers, they're going to have more business. And I tell Deborah jokingly all the time, if I was an agent, which I'm not, I could sell a lot of houses because I'm very fluent in what I'm going to teach you today. And it's really a great program, but it's a misunderstood program. And education and communication is the key to success in all businesses. So we're going to educate you, and you know, you're going to see this. There's really not much that you as an agent need to do other than get them over to a simple video that I think, Craig, you took in this week, and it explained a lot about the reverse mortgage purchase.
Yeah, the question is how many people actually watched it. So we've got this thing, I've got this thing called awareness. And awareness gives you flexibility, and flexibility gives you options, and options give you power. So I want the agents, my job is to empower, educate, and encourage. Our job as a company, empower, educate, and encourage, and we make them aware of new products. So in the last couple of weeks, I had a renovation loan specialist. It's amazing to me how your industry has niche markets they go after. And your niche market is reverse mortgages, and you're really good at it. So we need to be aware that you're really good at reverse mortgages, so we can educate the consumer about what their options are. And then I had a renovation loan specialist out a couple of weeks ago, and that's what this guy does. I'm a renovation loan guy. You know, he doesn't understand other shit. He does renovation loans. And we had some first-time home buyer grant loan officers. These people were certified in all the different grants available to first-time home buyers. And that's what they do. So if I can make my team aware that the niche specialties are out there, and if they're dealing with a senior couple, they should make them aware of what a reverse mortgage is. If you're dealing with a first-time home buyer, you should make them aware that there's some grant money available to them for free that gets forgiven. And if you're dealing with any buyer in a normal market, that in a slight inventory market where the house isn't perfect, but everybody's in love with HGTV, we can get them a renovation loan. And then the agents can actually imagine the marketing force. You know, we have 400 agents. If 400 agents put out a post that said, hey, you wouldn't believe our team huddle this morning, we had Tom Russo in, and he was talking about reverse mortgages. If you know anybody, I just became educated on reverse mortgages. If you know anybody who is confused or wondering what a reverse mortgage is, give me a call. That message could go out virally, and it would be really, really cool. So that's kind of the objective we're trying to get to. So with that being said, I've taken 10 minutes of our time, of your time, but we've got a good audience online. So do you know how to use Zoom? Just hit share screen.
I sure do. So we should be good to go here, Craig. So let me just share my screen and we'll get started right away. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. So I did allude to a couple of these things here. My life prior to a mortgage professional I was an accountant. So numbers are your friends. You can count on them. That's a little accounting joke for those of you who like numbers. But I've been in the mortgage business for 17 years, and I do all conventional, FHA, VA, and reverse mortgages. So I'm a full service provider, if you will. Certainly the reverse mortgage is a unique niche product, as Craig said, but we as a team inside your office, we do everything. And you may see Del Ham. I don't know if he changed his name from Delano to Del, but he's out there and he is my partner, and I'm happy to have him on board. We are available to you.
Would you like me to give him speaking rights or bring him online? It's up to you.
I don't think Del needs to do that today because this is kind of my specialty. And but certainly I want everyone to know Del's out there because he is my partner.
Yeah, he's online. I see him.
Yep. What we want you to know is we're available to you 7 days, and we will return your call promptly. That is a lost art in this business. So if you're putting in an offer Saturday night at 8 o'clock and I see my phone ring, chances are I'm going to answer it. And if not, I'm going to get back to you very shortly because I understand how important it is to have a proper pre-qualification. And I'm not talking about reverse mortgages. I'm talking about conventional FHA or VA mortgages when you submit that offer. So we as a team want you to know our commitment. Now, I'm glad Craig spent a little bit of time with you guys because I wanted to make sure that everybody sees this slide. If you forget everything you hear and see today, I want you to know this. Everything that you see here today is online. This entire training. Craig, if you have 400 agents, it's available to all of them. Okay, it won't be quite as nice as the interaction where people can ask questions at the end. And I am available as long as you need me. That's up to you guys. If you like what you see today, you have one job and only one job. That is to get your buyers. Okay, this is all about your buyers and making you money. Okay, to this link. Again, you can write it down. You can have access to this video. You can have access to the PDF. Anything you need, anything that we have is available to you. Okay. We have handouts for your open houses. We're going to show you some examples later on. And if we have time, I even built a special reverse mortgage calculator. So if you can put in 3 numbers, which Deborah says you have all 3 of these numbers, I'm going to show you how you can actually go out there to a past client, show them something they have no idea exists, potentially list that home and help them buy another one. And we're going to put numbers to that as well to show you guys who are really motivated and hungry how to make not a little money, but a lot of money. My commitment to excellence, I can't say the word, is this. This is a screenshot that was taken 2 months ago. We had 50 Google reviews. Every one of them is 5 stars and every one of them is real. The reason Del's picture is not up here is this presentation was done a couple months ago, or Del would have 5-star reviews as well. But this is just something I started to do to collect reviews and to show people my commitment to excellence. A lot of these reviews are Sun City Center people, okay? And every single one of them is real. I didn't pay anybody to put them up there. So today's agenda, what you guys all want to see, how to make more money in real estate. How? By making houses easier. Keyword, easier to buy or sell with the HECM for purchase. We're going to explain. Just a little bit of fun. If you remember, some of you are old as me, you know about the treadmills. Everybody years ago wanted a treadmill, and what they did is they bought them, and now we buy different things, put them in our house, and this is how we use them. We throw clothes on them. So what I call this is the treadmill theory. If you don't use what I share with you today, I can assure you it will not make you any money. If you do use it and you become a little bit fluent enough to get people to a video, I can almost guarantee you it will make you money. So let's get into the reverse mortgage purchase. We're going to focus on purchases today. You guys don't make money when we do refinances, so I want to help you make money. Yes, there are two ways to use a reverse mortgage. Most people are familiar with the refinance. Most people are not familiar with a purchase. But we're going to focus on purchases. So what is a reverse mortgage purchase or a HECM for purchase? HECM, home equity conversion mortgage. It's an old name because reverse mortgages were primarily about refinances, which is why it was called a home equity conversion mortgage. But now that same term is used for purchases, and I just don't want anyone to be confused. It is a non-recourse loan. For those of you who don't remember what a non-recourse loan is, the only recourse is against the property and not the borrowers or their heirs. Very key point. It is not, it is a loan that does not require a principal and interest payment. It is optional, okay? Why do I say it's optional? Well, you have a 62-year-old borrower who's currently working. They're making a good living, but they say, hey, I'm going to retire in 3 years. At that point, I don't want a mortgage payment, but I want to buy a house today. They have the option to make their principal and interest payment for the next 3 years. And when they do that, their loan balance will not increase. We'll talk more about that. I want you to know a loan, it's a loan that doesn't require a principal and interest payment, but if a borrower wants to make one, it is optional and they may. Now, if you've never seen this presentation or you have no idea what reverse mortgages are, it's a loan that allows those 62, and by the way, we have a new program that just came out that goes down to age 60. Okay, so we'll just throw that out. It's a loan that allows borrowers 62 and above to own a home, live in that home as long as they wish, key words, as long as they wish, okay? As long as they follow the following rules. Ready for this? They have to pay their real estate taxes, your homeowner's insurance, and any applicable HOA dues. If flood insurance is required, naturally they would be required, okay? It's that simple. So if you hear the horror stories about people being foreclosed upon, I will tell you on every occasion, it is because they didn't follow the rules. When you follow the rules, you don't have problems. That's the way life works, right? Don't speed, you won't get a ticket. Pretty simple. Okay, so in short, the HECM for purchase is a peace of mind loan. And we'll get into the peace of mind that it will provide. Who or what qualifies? My goal today is not to make you a loan officer, is not to burden you with guidelines. It's to get you to do one thing, be open-minded, present it to your buyers, your clients, and get them to the video. I've gotten some very good feedback on the 20-minute video that explains everything. You don't have to. I've done all of that for you. One of your agents recently referred me a person, and this particular person had about $150,000 of cash they wanted to use. Well, guess what? The agent introduced them to this program, and now that same buyer is looking at $300,000 houses. We'll get into that, and we'll show you how to do it. So who or what qualifies? Seniors 62 and above. Only one person has to be above 62 if married. Remember, we do have another program that starts at 60, but I don't want to confuse that today. We're going to stick with the 62 number, okay? If there is a married couple, only one of the two has to be 62. So if a man is married, he's 62 and his wife is 52, that's fine. That'll work, okay? And vice versa. There are no minimum credit scores on a HECM for purchase. There's less qualifying paperwork. And it is good. A reverse mortgage will work on a single family residence, a villa, townhomes, some condos. Now you'll notice in red, I wrote condos and it's greater than $250,000. The loan amount's greater than 100, okay? We have a new program that does allow some condos, and we've been doing some research. Kings Point is still up in the air, but we're working on it, okay? So we don't know what's gonna happen, but there are a number of condos in the state of Florida that will fall into this proprietary program. We won't spend a lot of time on it today. A reverse mortgage purchase can only be used for a primary home, okay? And this is on a refinance or a purchase, okay? Nobody can buy a second home with this. Please don't do that. That's bad, okay? If you've heard some different, if those of you who've been around me for years knows that sometimes we use different names. HECM, home equity conversion mortgage, reverse mortgage purchase. HECM for purchase, H for P. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing, different names depending on the flyer you may have seen. This is one of the most important slides I can put up here, okay? The reason I have this up front before the strategies is because there are so many perceived cons, negatives, perceptions that we have to overcome. I'm going to go through this quickly because all of this is online and I want you guys to have time for questions and answers because I know there will be questions. There always are. So if I speak fast, it's not because I'm from New York. It's because I know we have a timeline and I want to give you as much time for questions. So one of the perceived cons is it's more expensive. Well, it is more expensive, but so is a VA loan and so is FHA loan because they have upfront mortgage insurance, right? So VA loans cost 3.6% on the second use on the loan amount. That's a lot of money, okay? However, why is it more expensive? It has insurance. That insurance provides protection for the senior and their heirs against market declines, or if they live till they're 120 years old. They can live in that house as long as they want. A perceived con is your equity declines due to negative amortization. Make no mistake, this loan has negative amortization. Your loan balance will go up and not down. Why? You're not making a mortgage payment. We're all adults. There are no free lunches. If you don't make a mortgage payment or a rent payment, something has to happen. In this case, if you don't make a mortgage payment, that mortgage payment gets added to your loan balance. Okay, we'll talk more about that. But if you're not making a mortgage payment, your bank balance or your investment portfolio could go up. You could also be preserving capital, money for retirement and other needs. So I always ask everybody I sit down with that's over age 62, when you make a mortgage payment, who are you building equity for? They kind of look at me real strange. Well, your kids, your heirs. Is that what you want to do? Well, no, my kids are fine. So why are you making a mortgage payment? And they kind of look real puzzled. I never thought about that. If you want to build equity for your kids or your heirs, that's great. Go for it. This is not the right loan for you. But if you want a little more financial freedom in your golden years, this loan might be for you. Here's a great one. The bank retains title. False. 100% false. You retain title, not the bank. It's the same as any other loan. You're going to hear me say that a lot. It's the same as any other loan. You go, but Tom, it's a reverse mortgage. It's the same as any other loan in so many ways we're going to talk about them. Well, you can get foreclosed upon with a reverse mortgage. You're absolutely right. But you can get foreclosed upon if you don't pay your HOA. You can get foreclosed upon if you don't pay your taxes, right? If you don't pay your taxes or HOA or condo dues, right, you can get yourself in trouble. If you do what you're supposed to, you'll never be in trouble, okay? They've even put in new safeguards in the past couple of years so that people don't suck the money out of their home and go blow it and then have no money. So everybody says, well, reverse mortgages are more expensive. Well, if you've done an FHA mortgage or you've seen your borrowers do an FHA mortgage, and these are older numbers because the VA numbers have changed, FHA is 1.75 upfront. VA can be anywhere from 1 to 3.6% upfront, and the HECM is 2% upfront. So somebody says to me, it's too expensive. Well, does the FHA and VA give you the same thing that the reverse mortgage does, the ability to live in the house forever and not make a mortgage payment? It doesn't. Here's one I heard over the weekend. Well, I'm going to lose all my equity when you sell. False. Any equity in the home at the time of sale is yours or your heirs. This is another one that I really want to drive home. I'm going to show you examples. Any equity at the time of sale in the home is yours or your heirs. You can't sell the home when you want to. False. You can sell the loan 2 weeks after you close, as long as the documentation, the deed, mortgage, and all that good stuff is recorded in the public records, okay? False, false, false. Sell the home whenever you want. And you and your heirs will owe the bank a ton of money if the house is upside down at the time of sale. Not true. Again, we'll talk about that some more. Now, this was a real customer, and some of you might even know, but of course, due to confidentiality, we will not be discussing that. But it happened to be a real estate agent. And when they came to me several years ago, their home was worth $240,000. So this is real numbers, real customer. This is so important to understand. Their home was worth $240,000. They owed $127,000. So they had an equity position of about $113,000. Well, this particular person called me up and said, hey, I don't know if we made the right decision. Now, this was a refinance, but I just want you to understand, because of the perceptions of reverse mortgages, there's perceptions and there's reality. Everybody's perception is the reality. My goal is to educate you so your perception is more in line what is reality. Okay. So 2 years later, this particular person calls me and goes, I don't know if we made the right decision. Okay. So I said, well, what is your home worth? And she said to me, $267,000. She was an agent, so she knew pretty well. I said, go get your most current balance on your mortgage statement, which, by the way, you get one every month, just like a regular mortgage. She says, well, we owe 145. Now look, it went from 127 to 145. We don't hide it. It's the way it works. Okay. I said, well, if I do some simple math, your current equity position is $122,000. When we started, it was 113. And all of a sudden the phone went kind of quiet. I said, did you make any mortgage payments in the last 2 years? She said, no. I knew her mortgage payments because I remember numbers. I remember really well. Names, not so much. So she had 2 years of no mortgage payments. She saved $15,000. Oops, I wanted to highlight that on my mouse and it went away. So there we go. She saved $15,000 in mortgage payments over 2 years. Okay. Let me see. Additional savings for 2 years, having no mortgage payments was $15,000. And she was a total of $24,000 better due to both the appreciation and the home mortgage savings. Okay. So here is $9,000 and there is $15,000. 9 and 15 is 24. So in 2 years of having a reverse mortgage, making no payments, but getting a nice appreciation, she came out $24,000 better. Do we sell a reverse mortgage like that? No way. We don't know what the appreciation will be. But what I do want to do is I want to give you the biggest objection, and I want to show you how to overcome the biggest objection, which is I'm going to lose all my equity. So let's do a few simple examples, okay? At the time of the reverse mortgage, which we had a loan balance of $100,000, and then we're going to get into the strategies and how to use it. But again, I have to get your perception to be what reality is, which is why I'm going through all of this with you, because many of you are out there going, oh no, I know this works a certain way. It doesn't, okay? It doesn't. I'm going to show you how it really works. Let's assume at the time of the reverse mortgage, you had a loan of $100,000. And let's assume your home's home's value is 220. Simple math tells us you have $120,000 of equity. Is that fair? 220 minus 100, right? 5 years later, assuming a fixed interest rate of 5%, they're lower now, that loan balance would go from 100 to 128. Now, if we assume just a 2% appreciation on your home's value, which I don't think is out of the realm of possibility, but we don't make guarantees. It says it here in big bold letters, but just 2% a year, your 220 house goes to 243. So 5 years later, your equity position went from 120 to 115. But guess what? You didn't have a mortgage payment for 5 years. Okay? You paid your taxes, you paid your insurance. Well, what happens in 10 years? Because remember, you're going to lose all your equity the second you do this, at least that's what people tell me. 10 years later, 5% fixed loan, 2% appreciation, your $100,000 loan went to 163. Okay? Went up 63,000. Well, your house went from 220 to 268. Anybody on the call who thinks a $220,000 house won't be 268 in 10 years, you can come visit me in the office and beat me up. But I think it's a real reasonable number 10 years later. The equity in the home was 105, 268 minus 163. So the equity was 105 10 years later. Okay, we don't sell it this way, folks, but I want you as real estate agents to know that you don't lose your equity immediately. In fact, if there's a reasonable appreciation, you may come out ahead, okay? Or at least at a break even. Now, let's get into the meat and potatoes. Most senior buyers pay cash. We know that. Most of them are on fixed incomes. Most of them don't want a mortgage payment. That's why they pay cash. They also want long-term security. And more than anything else, for those of you who have presented this and have worked with me over the years, you tell me that every time you bring this up, the buyer looks at you like you've got, a third eye or horns or whatever. They're guarded about anything new. That's why your only job is to see if they're open to watch a 20-minute video. That's it. If they're open-minded, they'll watch it. If they're not, they won't. So how can HECM help you as a real estate agent? Well, Again, this is a few months old, so but the principles still apply. I am a cash buyer. I come to any of you who are on the call and I tell you I have $130,000. I'm sure you get this all the time, whatever that number is. And I want a 1,500 square foot house, single family residence preferably, in good condition, of course. But because I'm a senior, I probably don't want a mortgage payment, probably, okay? Because we just agreed that most seniors like to pay cash for long-term security. So how many of you who haven't seen this presentation before know how to find somebody a 1,500 square foot house in great condition with $130,000 cash? And by the way, no mortgage payment. Now, if you've seen it before, you know the answer. The answer is with a reverse mortgage. So the issue here is what they want doesn't exist for $130,000. I think we can all agree on that. It might exist for $215,000. How do we solve this? With no principal and interest for the buyer. Remember, they're seniors. They want long-term security. They don't want a mortgage payment. And yes, they're guarded. So we have to say to them, hey, if I was able to show you a way, would you be willing to watch a 20-minute video where Tom does all the work for you? Okay, so let's see how you can do this. So if I was a real estate professional, and I might have to become one soon if you guys don't take advantage of this, okay? I'm joking. I'm not going anywhere. I love what I do. I would say to the client, and put this in your own words, we'll pick on Craig. Hey, Craig, the house that you want is probably about $200,000 or $225,000. However, you know, without sounding too salesy here, Craig, if I could show you a way to get into that home for the $130,000 in cash you have and still have no mortgage payments, would you want to see the home? Well, Craig's probably going to look at me with 3 eyes, and you're like, I have 3 eyes, and go, how do you do that? Let me show you the home, Craig. See if you like it. If you do, I've got a 20-minute video that explains everything. And if you're interested, great. If not, we could look at something else that, you know, show them a 130 house and you know they're not going to want it, right? But all you have to do is say, if I could show you a way to do it with no mortgage payments, would you like to see the house? They want to see the house. They fall in love with the house. They didn't know they could do what I'm showing you, okay? And when they watch that 20-minute video, which is available to all of you, okay, we hope we'll get you a sale. So how do we do it? The math, 130,000 down. We'll talk about that 60% soon. A reverse mortgage for 85. There's your 215 home. It's not rocket science, guys. If it was, I couldn't do it, okay? Not hard stuff. Think about, sorry, I got a gnat flying around. Think about this 85,000 and put the word conventional mortgage, FHA mortgage, VA mortgage. When you do that, everybody gets this. But if you do that, if you put conventional, FHA, or VA in that 85,000 spot, you gave that borrower a mortgage payment that they may or may not want. And guess what? When one of the spouses die, they may not be able to afford that mortgage payment anymore, okay? You don't want to do that to a senior. By the way, I'm going to say this over and over, no mortgage payments for life means principal and interest, okay? So we'll put them in that home, okay? So what happens when you sell the home? This is one of the common questions that I get, okay? Ready for this? The HECM, home equity conversion mortgage, the reverse mortgage, same thing. Works like any other loan at the time of sale. The lender is paid what is owed. The seller or their heirs gets the difference. That shouldn't be foreign to anyone who's ever done a real estate transaction, because it doesn't matter what type of loan it is, that's how it works. Normal closing costs apply. I say it that way, and I say it that way to your borrowers because they're like, well, is there a balloon payment? Is there any prepayment penalty? No, 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 no. It's the same. And by the way, you will get your real estate commission on every one of these deals because it works like any other loan at the time of sale, okay? The only exception is if the home is underwater, okay? And I think most people on this call know what underwater means. You owe more than the house is worth. In that case, the FHA mortgage insurance that they've been accruing, not paying, covers this shortfall for the seller or their heirs. And in some cases, you can do a deed in lieu of foreclosure too, whatever works best, okay? There is no deficiency judgments. If those of you who've been in the real estate business long enough, you know about deficiency judgments, right? And there's the option for the deed in lieu is also available, okay? Okay, so I said, what happens when you sell the home? I like to teach by examples. So here's a scenario, okay? So your home is sold for $300, your loan balance is $200. 100,000 goes to the seller and their heirs less normal closing costs. Like I said, it's not rocket science. If it was, I couldn't do it. I put the numbers there because no matter how many times I tell people, they still come back and go, well, what happens when I sell it? Does the bank get all the money? No, it doesn't. Okay. It's right on the screen. Okay. That's how it works, just like any other loan. Scenario 2, the house is upside down. The home is sold for 300. You owe 350. How could you owe 350? Well, chances that is slim, but it is possible. You could live till you're 105 years old. That loan balance continues to grow as long as you live in the home. A deed in lieu of foreclosure can be used, or the heir can purchase it for 95% of the 300,000, which is the fair market value. Okay. So anybody else could purchase it too. You guys get your commission. All right. So even if the home is upside down, that's the way it works. So 2 extreme examples, or maybe the second one's extreme, but I want you to know this is the safety and the peace of mind I talk about. You can live in the house as long as you want. When your spouse dies, it doesn't make any difference as long as you can afford your taxes, insurance, and any other applicable fees, which is HOA fees, right, or condo dues in the case of a condo, or any of those, a flood if you have it, you can stay there. Okay, most seniors, they're comfortable with living in their home. Now, the HECM purchase rule of thumb, I call it a purchase factor, 60%. It's a little bit less now because interest rates are good. I'm quoting 52, 53%. But if we can just stick with this for purposes of this illustration, it kind of flows through easier. So let's keep that 60% number in mind. It is a little better today, but let's just stick with this for now. Home price, $100,000. How much money do you need? Well, I chose 100. I know there's no $100,000 houses out there that are really worth too much these days, but I wanted you to be able to do it in your head. So if a home price is 100,000 and you need 60% of that, notice the word total cash required includes closing costs. How much money do you need? Everybody can do this in their head. That's why I did that example, okay? Total cash is your down payment and your closing costs. So if you call me up and say, hey, Tom, I got a 67-year-old buyer, and they're looking at this $227,000 house. Can you tell me what the purchase factor is? Can you tell me how much money they're going to need? Sure, I can do that, okay? No problem. And then once I give you that number, I convert it to a purchase factor. I say, hey, their purchase factor is 53%. What does that mean? Well, it means if they go look at a $300,000 house, if you can multiply 53% times 300, you'll be able to tell them how much cash they need, okay? This is why I could sell houses all day long with this. It's just so easy. Okay. One more example. Buyer wants a $300,000 house. How much money do they need? Roughly $180,000, 60% rule, okay? I'm drilling this in your head because I know that numbers don't come easy to everybody. Remember, it includes closing costs. If I give you a number, it's going to include closing costs. So I won't say, oh, they need 100,000 and all of a sudden surprise them with some closing costs, okay? Now, this is the fun part. For those of you who like a little bit of a challenge, okay, here's what people are going to do. They come to you and say, hey, Craig, since Craig's the only name I see, I'm going to pick on him. Craig, I've got $150,000. And you're thinking, they got $150,000. I know they're a senior buyer because they got lots of gray hair. They probably don't want a mortgage payment. What could I show them? Not much for $150,000. So if I came to you, Craig, with $150,000, okay, how much could I buy with a HECM? Now, I'm going to give you the answer because I don't want to flip people out. Here's the answer. Divide by 0.60, okay? Now, I would encourage, and I've done this in the Century 21 meetings before, I would encourage every one of you to get out your calculator on your and do it because it's going to help you.
It's $250,000.
There you go. Okay, $250,000. You have to divide. You don't multiply that by 0.6. If you do, you get 90,000. If I did my math in my head correctly, okay? You divide. Let's take a look. Let's make it easier for you. I know that math is not the easiest thing in the world. Now, if this isn't power, guys, I don't know what is. All right. And there's Craig got the right answer. Okay. Cash from buyer. So if you have $100,000 in cash and you divide by 0.6, you're looking at $167,000 purchase price. So what does that mean? It means you can go look at houses for $175, right? Do a little negotiation. So 100,000 in cash equals $167,000 HECM purchase. So would you rather have a $100,000 purchase or 167? Well, probably neither. You want to go down here, you want the 300 or 500. So when you have a good buyer come to town that's from up north, and they say, I've got $250,000 and I want to buy a house. Great. And they say, I want to pay cash, and you love it because we all know cash is wonderful. But you know what? If I have $250,000 and I divide by 0.6, I could show them a $417,000 house if they were open to it. If they took 20 minutes to look at a video to show them how it works. So which house would you rather sell? The $250,000 cash or the 417? I think
my biggest takeaway from this is the way you explained in the beginning. If they want to build equity for their heirs, this is not for them.
Right.
If they want to enjoy their equity for their lifetime, this is a really cool way to get them a nicer house for the same or less, and have no payment.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you
really well. If you want to build equity for your heirs, this isn't for you. But if your kids are taken care of, this is a really neat thing to do.
So we're going to keep going here. Which home would be easier for you to sell or your buyer to purchase? Now, if you look real carefully, these are the same houses. I stole this, don't tell anyone, off realtor.com. And those are the exact same houses. And the price for this home that's what it was listed for, okay? This home, so which one would be easier? Now, you remember, you're the selling agent you're the buyer's agent, or you're the seller's agent, it doesn't matter. Okay, which one would be easier for you to sell if you were the listing agent or if you had the buyer? This home for $260 in cash, because again, most seniors like cash, or this home for $156 down and no mortgage payments. Let's make believe you're the buyer's agent. Well, how does this work? Well, with the reverse mortgage purchase, if you take 60% of this number, you get $156. So you could show someone this house and say, you know what, this is a gorgeous house for $260. Do your 60% calculation real quick and say, what if we could do this for like $156 instead of that $260 and save you $104,000 and never have a mortgage payment, principal and interest? And I say it for you guys, but you can just say mortgage payment. My video explains it. Okay. For me, okay, it's a lot easier to depart with $156,000 than $260,000. So if you have a buyer and you don't show them this, well, you're making it harder on yourself. And if you're the listing agent, why wouldn't you want every buyer that walks in that home to know that you don't need $260,000 to buy this house? You could do it for $156, okay, and have no mortgage payments. And we have a flyer for that too. We've got everything, guys. Anything you need, we have, okay? So how to win a listing appointment? Show the sellers the options you offer versus other agents. Show them how you can make their home easier to buy. Didn't we just do that? There's that home that you should be very familiar with, okay? But if you explain to them that more people have $156,000 in cash than $260, wouldn't that make it easier to sell? We have a flyer. It goes in your listings. It goes in your open houses, okay? And it shows people how they can use this, save money, and not make a mortgage payment. It even has the video link, okay? Sell your listing faster. I've been to Sun City enough times to know that a lot of agents sit in the home. Let's use a $200,000 home. Most seniors are cash buyers. We've already distinguished that. We know that it's true. My question is, when that senior walks in the door, how much money do they have? The answer is you don't know. They could have $220,000. They could have $520,000. Nobody knows. So would it be easier for them to buy this home with $120 cash down versus $200 cash down? You're saving them $80,000 of their cash reserves. They still have no mortgage payment. So you don't know if that person has $220 and they're going, oh man, this house is $200. That leaves me $20,000. I got to buy this cash. No, you want to give them the option. Okay. So we have a PDF for this. Like I said, we've got everything, videos, PDFs, everything to help you succeed. Now, why should you have this PDF in your homes? Well, because wouldn't you want every buyer's agent to offer this? So let's just say that, I think that should be seller's agent, because if every seller's agent walked in and you didn't tell your buyer about it, okay, they could see the option. Okay. But if everybody offered this to people, everyone, every buyer would know that's an option. Every seller would know that's an option. And it makes things easier to buy and sell. Okay. Most buyers don't know about this. Most buyers' agents don't know about this, and they don't offer it. And most of the time it's because they're afraid and they can't answer questions. We've overcome that. We've got a 20-minute video. So if every buyer knew your $200,000 listing could be purchased for around 120 with no principal and interest payments, would it sell faster? Well, the hope is, yeah, because 120 is a lot easier to part with than 200. So why co-brand it? Because I get people calling me 6 months later because they took this thing and they call me up and they go, hey, I got this flyer. I looked at this house 6 months ago. I was thinking about it. Now I'd like to do something. I like this idea. So where'd you get it? Okay. And I said, Linda M. That was the person who called me. I said, where'd you get that flyer? And she says, well, I was at Craig Begin's open house. I'm picking on Craig because he's the only name I see. I was at Craig Begin's open house. We co-branded this together. Oh, fantastic. Great. So you ready to buy? Yeah. You like this idea? 20-minute video. Yeah. Let me get Craig in touch with you. Okay. When your name is on it, it comes back to you. It's that simple.
Hey, Tom, two things. One, there's a question online. It says, what if they only live down here in Florida for only 4 months of the year?
Has to be a primary residence, but the real answer to the question, Craig, as long as it's their primary residence, they have to vacate it. They can't be absent from the home for 12 consecutive months. If it's their primary, they can do this. And thank you for telling me because I don't see the question.
Okay.
It has to be a primary.
Click on the participants tab, and there'll be two tabs at the top. One says panelists, one says attendees. Switch from panelists to attendees, and you'll see all the people online.
Okay, I see them all out there. Let's see. I see the attendees, and I'm not seeing the questions.
Brian. The question, you click on chat at the bottom, and it'll bring up a chat window.
Okay. Looking for the chat.
Right.
Wait a second. I just don't want to screw this up here. You know what, Craig? If it's okay with you, just feel free to interrupt me, and I'm going to save time for questions at the end.
Okay.
Let's create a sale for you. And again, if you're a hungry agent, I'm going to show you ways today you never knew possible. And I'm going to show you ways to make a lot of money. A senior owns a condo, a home, a mobile. It doesn't matter. But they have $125,000 of equity. You explain the H4P program. They like it. How do you explain it? You send them to a video. Okay, it's that simple. You don't need to explain it. Again, I put that video out there a couple months ago. Don't explain it. Send them to the video. Just simply say something.
By the way, Tom, was emailed to all the agents last night. It came from Angelique.
I hope they watch it. I really do, because that's from the buyer's perspective. The buyer will never see this video, which is online. This training they will never see. Okay, unless they're really good at figuring out how to find things that are not advertised. But let's just say you have a friend that owns a mobile home, a condo. Okay, and in Kings Point, my favorite place to do financing. It's a little sarcasm. But they have a condo. It's worth $125,000. Okay. If somebody has $125,000 in hand, who's going to be brave enough to give me a answer other than Craig? Somebody comes to you with $125,000. What type of house could they buy? Answer, divide by 0.6. Anybody brave enough? Not you, Dell. Dell can do this in his head. Okay. 125 divided by 0.6. Anybody wants to do it? All right. So you explain to them there's this really cool program that you saw this Italian guy talk about, and they might be able to get into a much nicer home and never make a mortgage payment. So you say, hey, would you be willing to check out this video that, we saw? And they say, yeah, I'll check it out. Sure. Okay. They check it out and they like it. They say, hey, that's pretty cool. I didn't know things work that way. Yeah, I'm willing to sell my house and get us something nicer. So, so you list and sell their home. They leave closing with 125, excluding closing costs. We all know they're there. I'm just going to leave the closing costs out. I know they're there, guys. Okay, I've done this for 17 years. Okay, but I want to keep it simple. So they have 125,000 when they leave closing. They buy a nicer home for 210, using 125 down and $85,000 HECM. No principal and interest. So think about that. You created a sale because somebody was living someplace that they weren't thrilled about, and you showed them how to get into a beautiful home for 210, which I think there's some nice homes there for 210 still, with the 125 equity.
Tom, you just froze. Uh-oh. Tom, if you can hear me, you're frozen. I don't know what to do with you, Tom. Anyway, so far, what do you guys think? Okay, Tom, are you back? You froze there for about a minute. Now you're muted. You got to unmute yourself. Lower left-hand corner.
Okay, I did. Did we lose everybody?
No, you froze for about a minute.
Oh, I froze. Okay. Am I back presenting, Craig?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. This is really what I want you guys to see. If I'm going to step back just to make sure everybody got this, so bear with me 1 second. Okay. This is where you create a sale. So hopefully everybody saw this real quick. Somebody has a condo, a mobile home, doesn't matter. They have 125,000 of equity. Okay. You show them the online video. They say, hey, that's cool. I like that idea. I'd love to be able to get a house for around 210, which by the way, that means you could look at 220 houses, right? Using the 125 down and an 85 HECM, you put them in a new home. So what's in it for me? $10,000 in commissions is in it for you. How do I calculate that? You sold a home for 125. If you're lucky, you double-sided it, okay, because you held an open house. You helped them buy a home for 210, okay? Doesn't cost them anything for you to be their buyer's agent, right? So you have total sales of 335. Craig, if you have 400 agents and everybody just went out and did one of these per year, just one, how difficult is it to reach out to somebody you know has $125,000 of equity and show them a way to upsize with no mortgage payments? Think about what that would do to your business, okay? So if you need a reason to learn this or to pay attention, here's a $10,000 reason. And
well, let me go one step into that. So we got this tool called Remind, which we can actually go and pick our neighborhood and identify which properties have equity in them. So once our job is to make them aware of opportunities. So somebody could say, hey, I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to check out my farm. I'm going to find the people that have 125 in equity. I'm going to hunt them down. I'm going to put out a flyer. I'm going to knock on their door. I'm going to do whatever it is. Let them watch that video. And I might just get a customer out of that, get a listing and a sale. And that's the exposure that I want these people to see. We're creating opportunities for you, but you need to take action and take advantage of it.
And this one is even better, Craig. If this one doesn't excite the agents, nothing will. There's a lot of $350,000 homes up there that are free and clear. Don't have to be free and clear to do this, okay? I'm just using this as an example. So if a client owns a home for 350 that's worth 350, and they're all over the place up there these days, and let's just assume, again, assume they don't have a mortgage. So they have $350,000 of equity. This is called the downsize, right size scenario. And again, Remind is great. I've seen it in use. And when I show you my mortgage calculator, this is what Deborah told me. You guys have all this. It's a matter of who wants to make money and who doesn't. So what if you could show them how to put $200,000 of this equity in their pocket, downsize or right size to another home, and still live mortgage free? Think about that a second. So, Craig, I'm going to pick on you again. Hey, Craig, okay, I sold you a house 3, 4, 5 years ago. And, you know, I say to you, hey, Craig, you got that big, beautiful house over there on Platinum. Can I ask you a question? You go, yeah. Because you know, I know, by the way, Craig, I'm the realtor now. You're not. I know you have no mortgage. How do I know? Either through Remind, right, which I know is not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. Or I go back to the closing disclosure or the HUD, depending on which way it went, right, years ago. And I go, you bought this house cash. Now, yes, they could have taken out home equity, but between Remind and the fact that you may have worked with this person before, you got a pretty good probability of knowing that house is free and clear. So I call Craig and I say, hey, Craig, if I could show you how to put about $200,000 in your pocket and maybe downsize or right size, because that's a 2,800 square foot house you have, would that be something you'd be interested in looking at or at least sitting down and discussing? He's like, how are you going to put $200,000 in my pocket and still allow me to live mortgage free? He's going to be like, yeah, right. Okay, tell me another story. Well, let's get together. And I'm going to give you a tool to do that. Now, so this time I put in the closing costs and I said, if you sold that home for $350, they leave the closing with $322. And that's a pretty darn close number, guys. Okay, I calculated. I was an accountant. And by the way, I'm a mortgage guy too, so I know a little bit about this stuff. Let's just say they took $120,000 and they purchased a $200,000 home. Again, for purposes of examples, it's just an example. It could be a 225 home and they use 135, whatever, okay? But they're downsizing. They don't need this big home anymore. And this presentation was done a while ago, so I know there's not too many 200,000 homes. But just look at this. And I'm going to give you another slide that's going to bring this all together, okay? Basically, they're going to use 120 of the 322. They're going to get a home equity conversion mortgage, no mortgage payments, and they're going to pocket $202,000. Got a call coming in. I got to just send it. Okay. I'm going to show this to you in another sign. Let's break it down for you. And then I'm going to show you the commission side of this. Okay. And again, it's the same way you can look into Remind or whatever. So you sell their primary home for $350, less the closing costs, which your commission's in here. Okay. The title costs, the doc stamps, transfer, all that good stuff. So they have a check for $322 in their hand at closing. So they go buy a new home for $200. Okay. And they put down $80,000. Okay. Excuse me. They take a loan for $80,000. Okay. So they use 120. Where did I get the 120? 60% of 200, 60% of 200, 60% of 200. Okay. Just remember the 60% rule. Okay. You'll be safe. So if they used 120 of the 322, don't they have $202,000 left over? Can you imagine putting someone in a house that is right for them at this time in their life, helping them secure $200,000 into their savings account for needs, wants, for just security, putting them in the right home and making a lot of money at the same time? Okay. So I call this heckin' for profits. If you did just one of these per year, this is what it would look like. You sold a $350,000 home. They purchased a $200,000 home. My math says that's $550,000 worth of real estate times 3% or $16,500 before your split. Just one. Okay. You just have to go back, look at your database, see who's bought these houses, give them the opportunity. So how would you approach this potential client? Okay. Well, how would I approach him? Kind of talked about it earlier. Go look up the information and just say, hey, do you still need that house? God forbid you know of a situation in their life. Maybe they lost a spouse. Maybe they're sickly. There could be a whole host of reasons people don't need a 24, 25, or 2,800 square foot house. They don't need a pool home anymore. Okay, you guys know this because as we age, life changes. All right. So there's a whole host of reasons you can reach out to these people and you know best what they would be. So just a couple other program benefits. This loan allows people to stay in the home until they choose to leave on their own terms. The reason I put that out there, the reason I harp on it is I get the same question over and over. You know, can we outlive the mortgage? Answer, no. You stay there forever, as long as you pay your taxes, insurance, HOAs, okay? It protects against market declines. Doesn't matter if your house goes to zero, guys. You can still live there. If you're upside down, you can still live there. All you have to do is pay your taxes, insurance, HOAs, okay? Same old, same old. If you were preserving cash, you could make it work elsewhere. Roughly 40% of their cash is saved. Most seniors are not rich, okay? They don't have a $500,000, $2 million laying around. This is a lifesaver for them. You could also let your investments grow by not tapping into them if you were to save 40% when you bought a house, right? You could delay Social Security. You could do all kinds of stuff. Now, there are 47 people on the call, I think, right now. My question to all of you is, how many of you knew these options? How many of your clients know this? People like options. Don't be afraid to share it with them, okay? Because it works. This is my legal disclaimer. So for those of you who want to read all about legal disclaimers and my NMLS number and all that good stuff, feel free to do this and we'll keep moving on. Now, Craig, I got 9:27. How much time do I have?
Typically 3 minutes.
3 minutes, great. Okay.
If we went over, the audience will just start declining as they go on.
Okay. This is the reverse mortgage calculator that I put together that I shared with Deborah, okay? And this is real quick. If you can put in 3 numbers, you can make a lot of money. What's the value of your home, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? It's $300,000. Only that's $30,000. What's your loan balance? Well, I don't have a loan balance. What home do you want to buy? Well, I saw a home for $250,000. So here's the answer to the question. Craig, If I could help you put about $126,000 in your home and get that $250,000 home you wanted with no mortgage payments, is that something you'd be interested in taking a look at?
Yep.
Craig's trying to figure out the numbers. He's got this look on his face.
Well,
Okay.
you said 126, it's 151 is the cash I need.
That's what they need. Look what it says here. I even put it so people could cash left in your bank after sale and purchase. So I'm asking you, Craig, here's the script, Craig. Craig, if I could help you put about $126,000 in your bank, downsize or right size to another local home, and keep you mortgage free or eliminate any principal and interest payments, would that be something worth discussing?
Sure, how would you do that?
Well,
Watch this video.
yeah, watch this video. Yeah, here's how it works. Watch the video. Okay. That's it. You need three numbers. And as agents, you all know the value of the home. With Remind, you should know the loan balance or go back to the closing disclosure, find out if they paid cash. And guess what? Let's just say they had a $50,000 mortgage. Here's what I'd say to Craig after I looked it up and I saw in Remind that Craig has a $50,000 mortgage. I have it right here, guys. Craig, if I could help you put about $70,000, I see it's 76, but I'm gonna say 70. Craig, if I could help you put about $70,000 in your bank and, downsize or right size to a different home locally. And by the way, Craig, because he has a mortgage payment, and I know this, Craig, I'm going to eliminate all future mortgage payments because I think you have one. Is that something we could sit down and discuss? That's it.
Super slick.
He's going to ask me, well, how can you do that? Well, here's the first thing I'm going to ask you to do, Craig. Would you be willing to watch a 20-minute video? Because it explains how this program works. Here it is. So he watches it. Craig, I'll call you back tomorrow after you watch the video and we can get into the numbers.
Now, Tom, it looks like this is risky for a bank. Why are banks interested in doing this?
Well, banks are 100% protected from FHA insurance, okay? Banks only lend about 50%, Craig. So think about your own money. How many people would you give a loan to if they had 50%, you had 50% equity in their property and insurance to protect yourself? There's really no risk for the banks.
So, but the risk is actuarially, if I live to be 110, then I'm going to live there.
Actuarially correct. But what happens if you live to be 110 and you owe $100,000 more? Deed in lieu of foreclosure, okay? Bank doesn't lose. FHA mortgage insurance, however the buyer or seller, wants to deal with that, the bank doesn't lose. See, what happens is the banks sell these in the secondary markets to pension funds and things like that. Why? Because it's guaranteed interest. Your home accrues, your loan, accrues interest every month. So if you have a $100,000 home loan and it's at 5%, just to keep the math simple, that investment from the secondary market is guaranteed to gain 5% a year. That's why. So the way banks do lose, Craig, is when people do this and they sell a home a year or two later. That's how a bank can lose. But generally speaking, they don't lose. They wouldn't do it. This has been going on since 1989 with reverse mortgages.
So it's a relatively new product, 20 years old.
Yeah. So the purchase has been around since 2009. The refi since 1989. So it's been around quite some time. So Vicky Beggins has raised her hand. Vicky, I owe you a big thank you because years ago, one of your I guess friends reached out to me, and I'm still in touch with them 3 years later. I had lunch with them about 6 months ago, and they still call me with questions, and you gave them my name. So thank you so much. I won't mention their name for privacy reasons, of course, but they're wonderful, wonderful people over there in Apollo Beach. So Vicky's raising her hand with a question.
Mom, if you have a question, type it into the chat. Raising your hand doesn't.
Is there an age limit? The age limit is 62 for the FHA product, and for the proprietary product, it is age 60.
Is there a loan amount limit if I got $1 million house?
There is a loan amount limit. It's over 700,000. So I think it's 760 something. I have to look it up. I saw it the other day, 768 or something like that. But if people had $1 million property, we would probably talk more to them about the proprietary product. I meant, is there a limit age 80? No, you can do it if you're 100. The older you are, the more money the bank gives you. Why? Because it's based on actuarial lifespans. Any more questions?
Okay, so just like I said in the beginning, another question popped up. I meant like age 80. Okay, gotcha. So guys, this is it. I want you to be aware of the new opportunities, because awareness gives you flexibility, flexibility gives you options, and options give you power. So now it's up to you to expose your clientele to your newfound awareness. And I'll tell you, I think Tom would be very eager and do a very good job explaining to your customers the product. And if they do, they do. They don't, they don't. It's okay. But it's something to talk about. And that's all we want you to do. Because we are in the people and communication business. And so are you, Tom. Very interesting.
You are welcome, Vicky. Let's see, Regina, what if they don't own their home and they have about 50 to 70,000 in equity? If they don't own a home, their home, okay, I don't know how they could have 50 to 70,000 in equity, Regina. You and I have spoken before, and I know you had some people in mind last time I did it.
What if they don't own it free and clear?
Oh, if they don't own it free and clear. Yeah. If they don't own it outright and there's enough equity, yeah, we can do it. I generally like to look at the 50% rule of thumb. So if somebody has a $50,000 loan, the house should be worth at least 110, 120. And that's just basically double. So that's just again, rule of thumb, because credit does play a role if, and again, not your problem, my problem, if they have late payments and things of that nature, there could be some holdbacks. So just double their loan amount and go up a little more. They owe 50, go to 110, 120. It should work, assuming no credit issues. And credit is not score, guys. Credit is payment history with reverse mortgages. Okay, it's not. You could have a 500 score. You could have a bankruptcy. Okay, 2 years ago. But if you have, your last 2 years have been good, there's a good chance you're going to get that loan. So if you owe 50, double it. Say it's 100, 110, 120 would be a safe number. Okay. Okay, so the questions, I guess, are disappearing.
We answered them. Okay. Well, I think it's a good job. Tom, your contact information, you want to give a slide with your contact info?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the office, Craig, but my contact information is on this calculator. I'll make this available to Deborah, 9199. And Dell and I have the same mortgage address. It's Tom Russo Mortgage at Gmail, and Dell is Dell Ham Mortgage at Gmail. We're in the office 4 days a week at this time, Monday through Thursday. You can always stop by and see us.
We've got Sarasota, St. Pete, and Tampa watching too, so they're not gonna get very often.
Thank you. Yeah, just
Right.
Anybody want to give me a call, feel free. We don't require social security numbers to talk to people. We don't charge people. We just educate, guys. And if you watch that video, which is in this link, you'll find it's just all about education. It's not about sales. I don't believe in selling reverse mortgages. I believe in educating about it.
Well, I think you did a very good job.
Craig, thank you. And I appreciate the compliment on the video too. Deborah shared that with me, and obviously you've got a lot of experience. So to get some kudos from you and Deborah was awesome. Appreciate both of you.
Very cool. All right, we're gonna end this journey today. Guys, it's Friday. Take a little time off and rest. You've been working your butts off. Wish the weather was better, but answer your phone if any opportunities coming along. Happy Friday. I'm gonna go ahead and end it now.